Hello and welcome to AutoCAD for beginners. In this particular video, we'll be discussing a few basic problems that all of the beginners face while using AutoCAD for the first time. So, the first issue that we're going to be discussing is polylines. Yes, we already discussed how to make polylines in the previous videos. Now I'm going to discuss how to convert objects into polylines. Suppose I have this particular object that I'm gonna make using the line command. I'm just making it randomly for now. So here is this particular object that I want to convert to a polyline. Now one option is that you just create this entire object using the pedit command or the pline command, and you're going to write over this object again and this convert it into a polyline. So that's going to be a pretty tedious process, because suppose if you're working on a very large drawing and it has a lot of components, it'll just be very tedious to just remake it by using the pline command. So how to convert the existing different objects into one particular polyline? There are basically two ways to do it. One way is using the command join. Now this command is actually working in the later versions of the AutoCAD. So first I'm going to show you that particular command. For that, you just have to select these objects that you want to convert into a polyline and enter the command join. Now, as you can see, this complete object is now a polyline. I'm just going to press Ctrl+C for our users who are using the previous versions of AutoCAD. For that, you have to enter the command pedit. And over here it's asking select polyline or multiple. Since we have to select multiple objects, you're going to select multiple. Enter. And now I'm going to select my objects that I want to convert to polylines. I'm going to press enter again, and it is asking whether to convert lines, arcs and splines to polylines. I'm going to say yes, enter. It's asking me again to enter an option of close, open, join, width, fit, spline, decurve, L-type, gen, reverse, undo and whatnot. I'm just going to press join, enter. It's asking me to enter the fast distance. For now I'm keeping it as 0. I'm going to tell you what fast distance is later in this video. I'm just going to have it 0 for now, and I'm going to press enter again. Now if I hover over my object, it is now a polyline. So that is how you convert different objects to one singular polyline. But this is when our object is all joined. What if we have lines separate? For example, I'm just gonna make you another example. This time I'm going to scale the lines. So over here I'm going to extend this to say 100, and I'm going to extend this to 150. For your reference, I'm going to draw my dimension lines. As you can see, the text of the dimension lines is not yet visible because I haven't edited the dim style using the dim style command. Let's just revise that for now. I'm just going to, instead of clicking on new, if you saw that I just used the command modify, as I wanted to edit this particular dimension style only. If I modify, I'm going to use the text as 100, and I'm going to use the symbols and arrow as a mere 50. I'm going to press on OK. I shall close the points, and now you can see the text is quite a bit too large. I'm again going to use the command dim style and modify my text, say 50, and my symbols and arrows to a mere 25. I guess that's going to fit. Yep. Since we are making this whole figure a polyline, I'll just use the p-edit command again. I'm going to select, sorry, I had to select multiple options, p-edit, and I'm going to have to select multiple, and enter. Now I'll select multiple lines and I'm going to press enter. Convert lines, arcs and splines to polylines, yes. And I'm going to use the command join, and this time I'm going to enter the fast distance. Now the fast distance is basically the maximum value that I can extend for each line extremity. That means if I use the join command, the maximum distance that enters over here is 150. If I put the maximum fast distance to 150, this line is going to extend to 150 units and join this. This is going to extend 100, this is going to extend 100, and this all will be a straight polyline. But for your reference, I'm going to enter a fast distance of 100. Over here, this line will not extend. Instead, these three lines are going to become one polyline. Let me just show you. And I'm going to press enter again. You see this is now one singular polyline, and this particular line that did not extend because we entered the fast distance as 100. So I guess you understood what are polylines now. The second thing that I'm going to be talking about is grid. Let me just delete these objects. So grid is basically used when you're making pretty detailed drawings. As you see, while I'm zooming out, the boxes are becoming bigger, and while I'm zooming in, more boxes are coming inside of those boxes. So when I zoom in to the maximum, you can see that now no more boxes are coming inside these boxes. That means that this distance is now the grid spacing, the exact grid spacing. So we use grids to make basically detailed drawings. I'll just show you an example and I'll show you how to edit the grid spacing. First, to edit the grid spacing, I'm going to click on this arrow and I'm going to open snap settings. Over here you can see the grid style, the kind of grid style that we have. Grid X spacing, which is 10 units, grid Y spacing, which is 10 units as well, and a major line, which means this thick line over here, after every 5 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After every 5 boxes there is one major line. And over here you can see the snap settings. Presently the snap is not on, so I would recommend having the snap spacing equal to the grid spacing. I'll just show you what the snap setting does. So I'm just going to check this box open and I'm going to click OK. If you can see that nothing has changed, don't worry, it doesn't mean that your AutoCAD has malfunctioned. The snap will not work unless and until you have any command active. So I'll just activate the line command now. And you see how the cursor moves only at the intersection of the grid lines. So this is what basically the snap settings, putting the snap on does. So let me just make say a window. I'll just design a window using the snap settings. So over here I know that this particular spacing is 10 and this would be a 50 millimeters. Let me design a door of say 750 millimeters. So for that I'm just going to have to draw a line 750 and the height shall be 2000. I guess that's okay. And again 750. And now I'm going to join this. So we have the outline of the door. Now I'm going to create a small rectangle inside of our box, giving the space 10 mm for the jamb. Here we have it. Now I want to make a window. Now since I know that this one singular spacing is 10, I will know that this particular spacing would be 30. So 30 mm from the side, and this particular spacing is 50. So this is 50, 100, 150, and I'm going to make it as a 300. And over here I'm going to leave a spacing of 3 and 3 as well. Below the rectangle I'm going to do the same. I'm going to use this particular image and make a door. So this is how we create doors to make detailed drawings. You see, I don't have to put on any dimensions to mark anything. The grid spacing is doing that for me. It's just like using a graph basically, wherein you don't have to calculate what you're putting in. So that's a very weird door that I created using the grid spacing. So that's how grid is used, and that's how snap settings are used to make detailed drawings. For now I'm going to delete this and put my snap mode to off. Now if in your AutoCAD version you're not able to see the grid perfectly, there is one way to change the color of the grid. For that you just have to right click on the workspace, go on options, and over this menu you can just select display. Over here you just go on colors. From here you can change the color of anything in your AutoCAD window. For example, if I want to change the colors of my major lines, you can just change it from here. You can select the grid major lines, you can use the drop down menu, select the color, and I'm going to lighten it a bit more. And I'm going to click on OK. And I'm going to change the color of my minor lines as well. I'm going to click the drop down menu, click on select color, and use this particular color. I'm going to click on OK, apply and close, and OK. Now as you can see, I can see my grids more clearly, but I kind of messed up the major line spacing as they are not very visible. I'm going to again change the color a bit more. Major lines, select color, apply and close. There. Now I can see my grid more clearly. Personally, I preferred the previous settings. So if you want to go to the previous settings, you again just right click, use the command options, go on colors, you just select restore classic colors, and I just click on restore, apply and close, and click on OK. So my AutoCAD just restored all the classic colors that I previously had. So that's how you work with the grid. The next thing I'm going to be teaching you is stretch. The command stretch is a widely used command and is a very useful command when you're working in AutoCAD. For example, let me just make a random object over here. Suppose I have this object and I want to increase its length horizontally towards this side. I want these joints to remain as they are and I only want to extend these two lines. So I'm just going to select all these joints that are going to remain constant. Just remember, these lines, these joints, they have to be inside the selection area that are going to remain constant. Select this and I use the command stretch. I specify the base point as this and extend this. So you see the joints that were inside the selection box, they remain the same, and only the lines that are not inside the selection box, they are extending. So that's how we basically use the stretch command. If I exit this and use the stretch command over here, only these two lines are going to extend. These joints are going to remain the same. Similarly for this, the behavior of this particular line has not changed. Only the joints, only the lines that were selected are changed. Joints remain the same. So that's how basically you use the command stretch. Stretch is a very widely used command and it'll come you in very handy if you continue to use it. The next thing that I'm going to show you is how to fast print your project. For example, I just have this weird polyline and I want to print it. I don't know, for whatever reason I want to print this polyline and I don't want to go through the tedious process of viewport and all. I just want a quick print. So what I basically do is I just enter the command plot, and you see this window opens right over here. Over here you can select the page setup. Over here basically your previous plot is going to appear here if you have previously plotted any sheets, and if you select that option, this whole window is going to reset itself to the previous plot. It comes quite in handy and you don't have to change all the settings again and again. So presently I don't have any previous plot, so I'm just gonna name it as none. I'm going to select the printer and plotter to DWG to PDF. I'm going to select the paper size to A4 only. It is asking me what to plot. Now I have different options over here. It's asking, by using the display option, it's going to print whatever that is there in the display. For example, if I preview this, all of the workspace that was in the display is appearing over here. Let me just cancel this. Let me just use the extent tab. And if I preview this, only the objects that were there in the workspace, for example this particular workspace, is appearing in the paper. You only saw it at the bottom right because the orientation of it is presently set at portrait. I'll change it to landscape and preview it. You understand it. If I use the command Windows, it allows me to select a window, make a window in which the objects there are to be printed are selected. So I just made a window in that there are objects which I want to print, and these objects, they are now appearing as in a form of a window. If you by mistakenly set the wrong window, you can just click this option here and you have an option of resetting your window again. Over here you can see the plot offset. Over here you can also select center the plot, as I want my plot to be in the center, or you can select the plot offset. The x-axis and the y-axis offsets you can select as you want. Since some of the printers, they are not able to print full-size A4 papers, and you want to offset your particular printable sheet, because suppose you want to hard bind it or probably use staplers or something like that. If you want to staple it, you want to use x-axis offset or y-axis offset. It's up to you. You can also choose your scale, or you can choose the option fit to paper. I'm going to uncheck this, and it's showing me the scale as 1:12. I can choose the scale 1:10 and press enter. If I do that, it's showing that the annotation scale is not equal to the plot scale. That means that the drawing that I selected, it's going to go out of the paper. Let me just show you a preview. Continue. You see this drawing that we selected, it's going out of the paper. That's why it's coming up in red over here. If I change the scale to 1:15, and it's again asking me that the annotation scale is not equal to the plot scale. If I continue, you see that this square is coming inside the paper. I mean, maybe it is a bit too small. If I preview it, that's how it's going to look. Now you can plot object line waves, plot it in background, plot transparency. You have different options available over here. Plot upside down, and you can select OK. You can choose the option to continue, and you can save the file. I presently don't want to waste the space on my computer, so I'm just going to press cancel. I hope you understood this video and this video was helpful to you. It helped solve a few of the beginners' problems that you face. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.